So as you might have seen from some of my most recent videos, I've been having a little bit of a tussle with the monetization policy of YouTube, which is fine. I kind of expected that, but I wanted to pass on a few things that I've learned over the course of my research. So I turned a fair few of my videos to unlisted a couple of days ago because I thought they were blocking my monetization of the channel. To my surprise, that didn't immediately affect my watch hours, which were over 4,000, which is what you need to be able to monetize. So I thought, great, okay, so far so good. Unfortunately, as it turned out, and as someone told me on Reddit was likely to be the case, it took a little while for unlisting those videos to have an impact on my watch hours. So about 48 hours after I'd unlisted them, all of a sudden my watch hours were down by over half, which means that I now cannot monetize on the basis of my watch hours not being sufficient. But before that happened, I had applied to monetize again, having unlisted the videos that I thought were blocking it because they were just cartoon intro videos. So there was none of this and none of this. You need, apparently, ideally, you need both face and voice in your videos to combat a claim that they are reused content. That's apparently is the easiest way to do it. So that is why you see a lot of very successful videos on YouTube featuring people and human voices, not speech generated, not computer generated voices, but spoken voices. That apparently is one of the best things you can do to avoid the accusation that your channel uses reused content, which is a no-no for monetization. So unfortunately, I've had to unlist those cartoon intros that I've had on my channel forever, but that isn't going to be enough, and I will tell you for why. What isn't very clear from the YouTube guidance, and I've had this confirmed in a couple of different places now, is that even if you unlist the videos, you can't find it by searching. You have to find it either in a playlist or by somebody giving you the URL of that video. That video will still count in the assessment of whether or not your channel as a whole can be monetized. So that, for me, I think was the spanner in the works, because assuming they only had these stats that I saw, I would have had enough subscribers, enough watch hours, and no sort of hits on my account that would have prevented monetization. But they would have still seen, apparently, my unlisted videos. So they would have seen those, thought, right, there's no commentary on them, there's nobody's face on them, they're reused content, therefore we don't monetize, because I did have quite a few of them. It may be that if I only had a few of them, I'd have been alright, because they wouldn't have looked like they'd made up a chunk of my channel. But the irony is, of course, it did make up a chunk of my channel, because as soon as you looked at my popular videos, the vast majority of them were cartoon intro videos, because of how many times they've been viewed over the course of 15, 16 years in some cases. So my channel is never, I imagine, never going to be a huge channel, because I'm quite niche in terms of what I'm looking at. So, you know, Babylon 5, retro toys, all this sort of good stuff. Not a massive market for it, realistically. I'm realistic about that, that's fine. But it would be nice to be able to monetize if I chose to down the line. So for someone who's in a similar circumstance, who's maybe just got enough subscribers, just got enough watch hours, but is getting reused content and is kind of loath to let go of one of their more popular videos, I would have to say to you that my understanding is you do actually need to out and out delete that video. Basically, it can't stay put on your channel in any way, shape or form if you want to be able to avoid a reused content blocker to your monetization application. And I just don't see any way around that with the way that the policies currently are. I think the policies are clearly intended, where monetization is concerned, to encourage you to be an active participant in your own channel rather than regurgitating stuff that any old Tom, Dick or Harry could come along and stick up. That is the fundamental problem that my channel had as an older channel, which wasn't put together with a view to monetization at all. But my more recent content, by its nature, should be okay, I think. And that's kind of why this was a real blocker for me, because I was quite attached to all these old cartoon intros that had lots of comments on them, which I didn't want to lose. But I've got to bear in mind that they are 15 years old. They are very low resolution. And so what I've done is I've taken all of those videos and sort of put them into one video, which was actually something I did back when I was first creating those. And I did create them myself from videos, but that's not the point, you see. From a YouTube point of view, it's still reused content, because lots of people have put it on, and if you haven't commentated on it, it's still reused, even if you made it. That's what you've got to bear in mind. Because I've seen quite a few people, asking this question on various forums, and fundamentally, it doesn't matter if you made it. If YouTube thinks that it isn't original in the sense that you kind of put your soul into it, if you like, then there's no point, because you probably will fail with video appeals and everything else. You're just not going to get through. And it is a hard pill to swallow, because my channel is not the biggest, so anything that dents it is going to dent it for quite a while. But having done this research, I think I'm probably now in a better position to try and move forward from this point and actually do videos that I know are going to be safer in that sense, if I want to try and monetize. I'm also going to explore other options, like going back to my Amazon Associate days, because I used to put Amazon Associate links on my website, and my website is now, been superseded by things like Facebook, so people are doing their own groups on Facebook and elsewhere, so not so many visitors hit those pages either. But the account is still live, and I think I can put links in descriptions of my videos to Amazon. So that's a way that you can try and generate revenue, and you can do Patreon and all that sort of stuff, but I can't, in all honesty, do Patreon for this channel, because I think that requires quite a high degree of commitment that perhaps I can't guarantee that I'm going to produce, because I've got a day job as well. So realistically, I can't do that. But if I can combine a sort of hobby of making videos and get a bit of money off the back of it, then great. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I'm still doing it for as a hobby, basically. Is what it boils down to. It's just unfortunate that when I started off putting videos together, ironically, the content I created off the back of that exercise now doesn't fit with YouTube's monetization policies, which is why I'm a little bit stuck at the moment. So I am going to delete those videos now. It'll be another month or so before I can apply for monetization again, and in fact it'll be much later than that, because I'll have to get my watch hours way up again off the back of doing newer videos. And the other challenge of that is that those cartoon intros were probably pulling a lot of people into my channel as a whole, which may result in knock-on watch hours from them going elsewhere on my channel. So it is a real, it's a bit of a kicker, because it does mean it's going to be a while until I can monetize in the traditional normal YouTube sense. My other option would be to start a completely new channel with 0 subscribers, which isn't very attractive, and 0 watch hours, also not attractive, and start from scratch there and just use that as a focused channel for things that are definitely categorically going to be monetizable. I could do that, but ironically I've just gone through an exercise of updating thumbnails and descriptions and all that sort of stuff, and the instant I take videos down and put them back up, I'm starting from scratch again in doing all those videos and putting them back up with full descriptions, thumbnails and so on. So I'm kind of loath to do that as well. So from the point of view of already having plenty of subscribers on this channel, I think I use this channel as a base, and I let go of the past, and I try and start with this channel, that people are moderately familiar with, and I kind of try and build up from this point, but with the content slimmed back to stuff that I'm reasonably confident is monetizable. Now, the funny thing is that all this work I've been doing to do my Babylon 5 series synopses, the slideshow content, generally speaking, has never attracted a copyright claim. But monetization has nothing to do with copyright. Because monetization is a policy that YouTube applies out with any policies on copyright and so on. So they may deem those slideshows reused content, even though I'm talking over them constantly. Now that is the plus point. I can demonstrate that A, I wrote the scripts, and B, I talk a lot on them. Sometimes I even appear on them as well. There are some where I do actually appear, like this. So that should allow me, in theory, to, if not monetize those videos, then at least have them not blocking monetization. Because the hurdle for me at the moment is getting monetization in the first place. Sometimes once you are monetized, you can't then monetize individual videos, as I understand it, because some of them might be deemed not suitable for monetization. But the problem that I've got at the moment is I can't actually get that monetization activated without altering how I do things on the channel at the minute. So that is my challenge at the moment. And I guess that's possibly a sort of New Year's resolution for me, I don't know, of sorts, that I will have to try and up the watch hours on my channel to replace the ones that I've lost from taking the cartoon intros off, and try and keep it all sort of, on the right track for monetization from a YouTube point of view. That is my overarching goal, if I'm going to achieve direct monetization. But I'm also going to see how the associates go. I mean, if the associates side of it starts to pick up, I might not need to try so hard for normal monetization. So if that's the case, I might even be able to bring the cartoon videos back and then just not bother trying to monetize at all, just leave the channel as it is on that basis. That's another option. Some people are encouraging me to do that just because, really. But I think it would be quite a good wheeze if I could get proper monetization, because I think then it's just kind of, it's just kind of auto generation. Then you're not going to have to put quite so much effort into it to keep it maintained. So I mean, I think that's all the wisdom I've really got to pass on. It's just that I think that YouTube have clearly set the monetization bar a lot higher than it used to be. Because I used to get money from it a little bit, but I think it was about 5 years ago now, they just sort of upped the bar in terms of what you had to do, and so that's where I'm now struggling. And there are various videos out, obviously, elsewhere on YouTube that can help you with this sort of thing. But I think you have got to be realistic. You're not going to be able to do clips and stuff and kind of reproduce stuff from other areas. And another useful tip is that even if you see adverts on a channel, don't assume it's because the channel itself is monetized, because YouTube often will just put ads on videos, full stop, itself, even if that channel itself is not monetized. So all that matters basically is what your channel is. There are channels out there that probably, if they were properly reviewed again, probably wouldn't qualify for monetization now. But obviously, YouTube probably only looks at things periodically. So there are lots of ifs, buts and maybes in this whole process, I think. But what happened with me, in case you're wondering, is that I think in my instance what happened was that I didn't have enough watch hours on the channel when the sort of the way of doing it changed. So as a result, I automatically got demonetized, and they took that sort of tag off me, so I had to reapply anyway. And it's only just these past few weeks that I've tried to re-monetize, having got to the watch hours level that I needed. But that was when it then became apparent that my content wasn't quite going to cut it. And ironically, of course, it was a catch-22, because as soon as I took away the offending content, the watch hours dropped below the point at which I could monetize anyway. So I shot myself in the foot. But I knew that was a possibility when I did it. But what wasn't clear to me was that even by taking a video unlisted, the content control, the reuse content issue, could still apply even to an unlisted video, and that's the one that could catch you out. So if you're at all borderline, you know, in reality, the only thing you can do is try and keep on making more content that is going to be compatible with the policies, and just sort of grin and bear it and get rid of the videos that don't match the monetization policy. They do talk about the majority of your videos needing to be within the policy, so it's possible you could get away with a few that aren't. But again, because they don't flag the ones that are and aren't acceptable, I've got no idea, neither does anyone else, as to what exactly does constitute reused content in their eyes. So when I took the videos down, I'm making an assumption about what I think they mean by reused content. It is possible that my Babylon 5 videos, for example, would not work. So that's a possibility, but all I can do is try and get the watch hours back up and then try again and see what happens. Stay tuned. But do feel free to promote the channel and subscribe and tell us to subscribe and watch more stuff, because that will really help. If nothing else, it will continue this experiment of mine to see whether or not you know, there is actually reused content on the channel anymore when I come to try and remonetize, as and when I'm able to do that. And do use the community tab if you've got any thoughts on this in general, because I have been making a few comments in there about it as I sort of work through this process. And yeah, I'll just have to see where I land. So thanks for watching, and I will see you again.